Hey everybody, Todd here. Welcome back to another Tools and Trends, where I'm going to go over an openness, an awareness, and an engagement skill, all related to the theme of the week. Actually, a theme of the last 2 weeks. So the theme that I've been seeing for the last 2 weeks has been dealing with not being able to get away from a specific thought. This could be the coronavirus, this could be the election, this could be your job, this could be unemployment, this could be dealing with a chronic illness. There's just all kinds of thoughts which constantly are coming at us. Now, this is a theme in these videos, and each time I'm working with one of these videos, I'm going to go through slightly different ways of looking at it. So you may notice that there's somewhat of a repetitive nature to what I'm doing here. But what I've found is that doing that allows different people, different perspectives. And for some people, one thing might work, and for another, something else might work. So let's just jump right in then. So the first skill we're going to play with now is an awareness skill, where we're going to just get present and we're going to breathe. Just breathe. So just close your eyes if you would for a moment. And what I'd like for you to do is just take 3 slow breaths on purpose. And now for the next set of 3 breaths, what I'd like for you to do is to slowly count. As on the in-breath, 1, 2, 3, and pause there for a second. And then exhale, 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and do that again. 1, 2, 3. And exhale, 1, 2, 3. Final time on your own. Now you can do this anytime. And as you're paying attention to the 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, back to 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, back to 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, back to 3. You can do this as long as you need to. And I highly recommend that you do it for at least 5 minutes. Can you do that? Because if you can develop this is a new skill. And it allows you time to notice when your mind has switched from whatever it is that you should be working on that's important, that matters, to falling into a dream, to falling into a thought which just hooks you and keeps you trapped in that thought. So while you're doing this too, it's also important to just observe what's occurring, what's happening in this moment. It could be thoughts, it can be judgments, it could be evaluations of what has happened. It could be an impulse. I should go do this. I should go do this. We just want to get present and stay in the moment, paying attention to our breath, inhaling on a count of 3, exhaling on a count of 3. And then from there, we can move into the awareness component. And what I'd like for you to do is, if you can, on a sheet of paper, because I'm always going back to journaling, I'm always going back to taking data. When we keep data, when we can write these things down, then we can actually ask ourselves, with all of these thoughts, which of these thoughts are actually helping? And you can even, once you've put these out on one column, you can actually write down whatever the thought was which kept coming back up from you, the thought you keep getting hooked into. And in one column, you can put an ST, and another column, you can label it LT. So short term, ST, would be just that. How did you react? How did you behave after the fact? How do you typically respond? Is it a short-term solution? Then just mark check. Yes, this helps in the short term. And then you can ask yourself, over the long haul, how did this behavior contribute to moving in a direction that actually matters? So long-term, check or X. So we want to keep track of these thoughts. Oftentimes you'll find when you're doing this that when we start to look long-term, it doesn't delete or permanently get rid of whatever it was that we were trying to get away from. It doesn't stop that thought from coming back. And ultimately leads back to the initial question. Is this thought helpful? And then from there, you can begin to put these thoughts into buckets. And when put into these buckets, you can actually give these things a name. Now, I've done exercises like this in the past, but we're going to take a slightly different spin. And imagine then that you are on your way to a conference or to a retreat, and you know that everybody that's going to be there is going to be on your side. And when you walk through the door, one of the first things that they have you do is grab one of those name tags, and you can write your name right on the tag. Well, imagine that we take those buckets with all those thoughts that you've collected with that data, and you take one of these name tags and you're able to put it on each one of these buckets and give it a name. Sounds kind of weird, I know. And you're like, well, Todd, you're saying that I'm actually having conversations going on in my head? And I would ask, well, aren't you? Aren't we having actual, tangible, back and forth conversations in our heads all the time? Sometimes we do. We interact with the thought back and forth. We're playing with it. It's problem solving. Other times, though, there's that thought that comes back, I'm not going to do this right. I'm not good enough with this. And it just is one-sided. So by giving it a label, by naming it, and seeing that here we are at this retreat, at this conference, and these aspects of myself want to do nothing more than to help me to become successful, to move forward, to have a meaningful outcome in my life, gives us a little bit of a different perspective, a different way to relate to that aspect of ourself. And when we do this then, for instance, I name mine Joe, I simply would be, hey, Joe, I really appreciate you pushing me on this project and trying to get these things done. You've gotten me this far in life, but right now, the thing that matters most is enjoying dinner with my wife, or is spending time with friends online, outside, spending time in my garden. So thanks a lot, Joe, but not right now. Because fighting against that voice, pushing back, ignoring that voice, Joe is going to get really, really loud sooner or later. But if I can pay attention to this and identify these voices, then it allows me then to have a different relationship with this aspect of myself. So if we were to tie all of this back together then, we're dealing with these thoughts that we just can't get away from. Every time we see the news, we watch the news, we're on social media, we interact with a friend, we keep getting bombarded from the outside world. But we can do something about that. We can actually minimize that or just reduce that. And I have other videos that talk about that, just controlling the sources of information that we're getting, because in a way, a lot of what we're dealing with is just information overload. But we can also take some time when we're feeling overpowered, or just make it a daily practice on purpose, where we practice sitting, being in the present moment, utilizing something like a breath exercise, identifying the thoughts, keeping track of them in a journal, and reviewing that journal, giving those themes a name so that we can then relate to it in a different way. So go ahead and give it a shot. See if it's not possible to make this part of your daily routine, or at the very least, pick a day every single week and start trying to utilize it there. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please make sure that you've subscribed and that you like the video. And until the next time, may you be well. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked what you saw here, be sure to subscribe right here so that you'll get alerts when I put out more videos. I try to put out new videos every week on Monday and Friday. So once again, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be notified when those come out.